Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but have you felt like lately that our leaders don't have our best interests at heart? Does it feel like our leaders are serving the three-letter global organizations more than their own? And does it ever feel like they're actually trying to destroy the country from the inside out? Well, people, I get these thoughts from time to time, and I'm sure many of you do too. But we have just got some proof, some new information from a hearing that yes, as a matter of fact, Biden's new economic advisor, the top economic advisor, he's saying that he wants to end the US dollar as a world reserve currency. And we can't always take what our leaders say at face value. We can't always believe everything they say. So we have to look at the data, the facts, look at their actions, look at what they're producing. That will tell us what their real agenda is. And people, we all need to wake up, share this with your family, share this with your friends, because this is going to affect all of us. Your purchasing power is going to be destroyed, and you're going to want to know what assets you need to protect yourself in the scenario that the US does lose world reserve currency status. So everyone, who is this man? What exactly did he say? And what data and information do we have to back up that this is the path the US dollar is on? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to go over in today's video. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into the news, the facts, and the data.
One final question, and I gotta be honest, I don't know how you're gonna answer it, so I'm kind of excited. So in 2014, Jared Bernstein published an op-ed in the New York Times titled "Dethrone, quote, King Dollar," where Mr. Bernstein advocated for the US government to actively take steps to remove the dollar as the global reserve currency. President Biden has now nominated him to be the head of his Council of Economic Advisors, all while the Chinese are actively undermining the dollar as the global reserve currency, and their successes are increasing both in number and at an ever-increasing rate. Do you agree with Mr. Bernstein that the US government should take steps to actively remove the dollar as the global reserve currency? We agree. I really appreciate that. It's disappointing that the president is nominating someone that disagrees with both of our positions on this. If we do lose the dollar, the cost of import goods will skyrocket. We'll lose our ability to borrow at current levels.
Well, everyone, I wish I could say this is surprising, but I'm not surprised at all. So we can see there, Jared Bernstein, who is the head of the Economic Council for the Biden administration, he said himself he wants to end the US as a world reserve currency. And he said himself that the US government should actively take steps to make this happen. People, this is absolutely outrageous. But the unfortunate thing, this is coming more and more common, where our leaders, they want to serve the globalist elite's interests before their own country's interests. And if you want to put your country first before the global agenda, well, all of a sudden you're an extremist, and they may even call you a terrorist. If you love your country, if you're a patriot, if you fly your flag, and this is not just the US, this is really any Western nation whatsoever, they think you're an extremist or you're a racist and you're not being inclusive enough, when that's not the case at all. We're having so much issues on our own soil, but unfortunately billions and billions of dollars is going to help other countries, just like for Ukraine, etc. But for example, the homelessness crisis is getting worse, the cost of living crisis is getting worse, but they're saying, no, we can't afford to help you with that. Meanwhile, the banks are getting hundreds of billions of dollars. Meanwhile, there's hundreds of billions of dollars going to fund the wars, but they're telling us, no, we can't afford to help the little guy out. No, we can't afford to help the homeless veterans. And don't you dare question us, otherwise we'll censor you and silence you. And he goes on to warn to say that if we do lose the US as a world reserve currency status, well, this inflation we have right now will go to hyperinflation. Because what really causes hyperinflation is not so much the price of everything going up, is when the currency starts to lose huge amounts of value, like what happened in Lebanon, like what's happening with Argentina, etc. Not only this, but it'll also make it very difficult for the US government to borrow money right when their debt is at an all-time high of $31 trillion. Every single 6 months, every single year now, they seem to be hitting the debt limit. Well, imagine if they lose the world reserve currency status and their credit rating gets hammered, well, we will see the US government default. But maybe thinking, Michael, you're just a crazy conspiracy theorist, or this will never happen. Well, let's look at the data and let's look at the cold hard facts on what's been happening. Well, everyone, this is the money supply. We can see here, ever since 2014, when this was released, the money supply has been increasing at a faster and faster pace, and it absolutely skyrocketed in 2020. Now it has been coming down lately, but we don't know how long this is going to last until they start pumping the money printers again. But that's not all. There's a much more terrifying chart. Look at this, everyone. This is purchasing power of the consumer dollar in US city average. We can see here, ever since 1915 it had plummeted. It did rebound during the Great Depression, but it has been falling ever since, and it has fallen over 95%. We can see here, look, your purchasing power is becoming worthless, and if they do go ahead with the agenda they want to do, the US dollar will lose world reserve currency status by 2030. And I don't know about you, but I keep on seeing this number 2030, and they warned us themselves, these fortune tellers that are so brilliant at predicting the future, that the US won't be the world superpower anymore. But maybe I haven't convinced you enough. Maybe you need more proof. Well, look at this, everyone. This is the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, world official foreign exchange reserve by currency, US dollar in billions. We can see here in Q3 of 2021, there was 7.09 trillion in US dollar reserves. But every single quarter, it's been falling and falling rapidly, and now it's fallen to a new low of 6.4 trillion. So there's a saying, by their fruits you shall know them. What are they producing? Are they producing good fruit? Are they producing good economic data or bad economic data? No, they're producing very, very bad data indeed. And we can see ever since 2014, since he said that the US government should actively take steps to dethrone the king US dollar, well, it is happening, and it's happening at an ever accelerating rate. And you may be thinking, well, okay, who could rival the US as a world reserve currency status? Well, we have the BRICS nations. They're currently trying to figure out a way to create a new currency or to create a new world reserve currency. And we also have China, who's also trying to increase their dominance with official foreign exchange reserves as well. And again, when you look at the data, look at what they're doing. They're taking more and more steps to make this a reality. So look at this, everyone. China's gold splurge reaches 6 months as reserves rise again. So is China preparing themselves for something? We all know Russia, they tried to increase their gold reserves because they possibly thought there was going to be sanctions coming. So could China be increasing their gold reserves in case they get into a conflict with the US, and the US starts putting sanctions on them as well? China added to its gold reserves for a 6th straight month, extending a flurry of purchases as central banks around the world expand their holdings of bullion amid escalating geopolitical and economic risks. So that's exactly right, everyone. And this is what we should all be doing. The geopolitical situation, as well at the same time, the economy is getting much, much worse. And you know, another old saying, when everything fails, they take you to war. So we're seeing more and more countries and more central banks, they're buying the real money. They're buying gold and silver, but they're also with the large banks like JP Morgan, who has been caught manipulating the metals markets. Well, they're trying to manipulate the price to keep it suppressed so they can keep on buying everything for cheap before the price skyrockets. China raised its gold holdings by about 8.09 tons in April, according to data from the State Administration of Foreign Exchange on Sunday. And their total stockpile now sits at about 2,076 tons after the nation increased reserves by about 120 tons in 5 months through March. So hey everyone, they're not just buying gold, they're increasing the pace and the amounts they buy gold, so that tells me they're preparing for something big. Central banks have purchased large amounts of gold in the past year to diversify assets, as well as to protect reserves from the impact of a weakening dollar, like we've been talking about, and rampant inflation. While inflows moderated in the first quarter of 2023, volumes are still at historically elevated levels, and China and Turkey were the biggest buyers. The voracious appetite for gold has helped prices scale near record highs as markets fret over a slowing US economy and signs of persistent credit stress. Geopolitical risks stemming from increasing fragile Sino-America relationships are also boosting safe haven appeal of bullion. So that's another thing, everyone. The banks are in big trouble, and people are losing faith, are keeping their money in the bank, so they're taking it out and they're putting it into gold and silver, real money, and storing it away in vaults. Meanwhile, China's end April foreign currency reserves rose to 3.2 trillion, up by 20.9 billion from the month before. The rise in foreign exchange reserves was a result of the US dollar depreciation and rise in global financial asset prices. The foreign exchange regulator said in a statement, China's economic rebound will help the reserves keep basically stable, it said. People, I wish I could express and articulate how much of a pivotal moment we are in history right now. We've lived in a time of peace, prosperity, but like everything, there's cycles and seasons, and we're about to head into a period of conflict and also people's wealth being evaporative and mass poverty. So you need to take huge action right now. This is what I'm doing. Take huge action right now to secure yourself financial freedom. So if anything happens in your country, you can go to another country where maybe things are more stable, things are more peaceful, and you also need to protect your wealth. What I'm doing, not financial advice, but just what I'm doing is buying gold and silver and also a little bit of Bitcoin, which is a lot more speculative. But if you need to cross borders with a large amount of money, you can do that just by having Bitcoin stored in cold storage or just memorizing your key, and you don't have to worry about trying to, take $1 million worth of gold across customs. But everyone, what do you think about this? Let me know down below. Now, for my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.